What's up, guys? Coach Frost here. Today I got to sit down with Robert Yamashita. Coach Robert has been training martial arts since he's 9 years old. Black belt in Muay Thai, kickboxing, black belt in karate, black belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, undefeated MMA guy. Awesome guy, awesome coach. He shares with us a ton of wisdom specifically around the kids program, how to coach kids if you're a Jiu Jitsu coach, and how to be a supportive parent, and how to be a good kid practitioner as well. So this is one you don't want to miss. Enjoy, guys. Ready to rock?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, step right up, come see the man with a plan. This guy, undefeated mixed martial artist.
That's right.
With a black belt in kickboxing, a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a black belt in karate, a bazillion wins in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitions.
Yes.
Been training martial arts since you're 9 years old.
Yep.
And you have taught a bazillion kids martial arts.
I have.
Over the last, since what, 30-something years? Since you were 9?
Well, no, I started teaching around 13, so like 27, almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years.
Almost 30, yeah.
Do you remember your first class? Doing martial arts, not teaching.
Yes, I do. It was like we were in a sports complex, and we were in like a rented out room, and it was high blocks, low blocks, kicks, and punches. That's about all.
Was it fun? Like, what got you into it? Why'd you even go to class?
Well, so my adopted dad, he had been doing Taekwondo forever. And then whenever we moved to Baytown, he decided he wanted to take a run at opening up his own school. And I'd always been interested in martial arts. I mean, it's something that he always we did, like, I'd watch him, I'd do it a little bit, we'd practice at home. And so whenever he, decided to open it up, it was it's very similar to what like our kids did. Like my wife and our kids, they all do martial arts. It was kind of the same thing. Like my sisters and I like joined him in the martial arts.
The family business.
Yeah. So we went and started training. I stuck with it. My sisters dropped off around teenage years, but it's just something.
Did you play other sports too, or was it?
Yeah, I did. I played basketball, football through junior high. It was right around the end of junior high, 8th grade, that I was prepping for my black belt, where I was basically told like, hey, like you can do these other sports, but you still have to I had an allocated amount of time that I had to put in for getting ready for a black belt.
Yeah.
I think I was one of the first ones that he promoted to black belt, so it was kind of a big deal.
How long did it take?
9 to 13, so about 4 years.
About 4 years for karate black belt. Which is pretty traditional. Most karate, taekwondo black belts are about a 4 year.
4 or 5 years, yeah.
Yeah.
And after that, whenever I started teaching a lot more and I got to the point where I was able to promote all the students that I did promote to black belt in karate were roughly around 5 years. That was like across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how old were you when you started training jiu-jitsu?
2005.
Yeah, I was 17 too. I didn't train any traditional martial arts as a kid, other sports. But I think that's, guys like you and me that found jiu-jitsu in our teenage years and in our 20s, like, how do you, like, jiu-jitsu's hard.
It is.
It's
yeah.
really, really hard.
It's very hard.
And I didn't go through it at 6 years old. I've seen like, your kids are trying to choke other kids. And that's different than a high block and a low block and things like that, right?
Yeah, it is. And so whenever I got into jiu-jitsu, it was originally like we were doing a lot of karate, right? We were doing a lot of stand-up. And then it was like, again, my adopted dad was like, hey, I got these friends. They're doing this wrestling stuff. And we had done like some submission grappling. We thought we knew, the whole foot cross arm bars and stuff like that. And so he brought up a couple buddies from down south where he was from in Brownsville. They were blue belts, but compared to what we were doing, they moved us around like they were black belts, right? Like, we had zero idea what to do, even though we had a ton of actual, like we had wrestled a lot, but they made us, it was very apparent like how technical jiu-jitsu was once we like actually rolled against someone who had like a couple years experience.
Yeah, like 2 years experience versus no years experience.
Man, they just mopped the mats.
That was my experience too.
Yeah.
I remember my first class, there was like Eric was a purple belt, there was a couple blue belts, and then they had like a inquiry form where you could fill out like at some point like what your goals were, and I was like blue belt. Like that was as big as I could dream.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd ever be as good as a purple belt.
Right.
I mean, they were just so much better than everybody.
Frost, I told you this before. I don't know, but it's been so long, right? I was one of my very first tournaments was Albert Heberns, right? When you used to do them like over in Channelview.
Yes.
And I remember my very first tournament, I'd seen a purple belt, and I'd never seen a purple belt, and the guy did like a flying triangle, and it was like so awesome, right? So I competed, and then my next tournament we were getting ready for, they had a 8-man super fight, and you were the guy who was in the super. You beat everybody.
I won the super fight. Yeah,
I distinctly remember you because you had like the purple headgear, and like the neon colored shorts.
Yeah.
Right. And you're out there, you're like inverting, going upside down, and you were just submitting people left and right. And I didn't know who you were at the time, but I distinctly remember watching like that tournament and just watching, I guess, you just compete and just smoke everybody.
Yeah.
And then it was like later on, like whenever we talked about it, you know, I remember your headgear, and then whenever you started wearing it, whenever we were training, I was like, did you do that? And he was like, yeah. You went in there and beat all these guys and went against all these things. And it was kind of like full circle, right?
That's
like,
funny, dude.
Yeah, it was funny.
I always tried to have the headgear match my belt. So like blue headgear, blue belt, purple headgear, purple belt.
Well, I guess you must have been a purple.
I was either purple or maybe I rolled into brown belt. Something right around there.
Because I don't. It was very far. It was a couple years before you'd come to Baytown. So
yeah,
like you may have been right around purple.
Transitioning into the purple or into brown. Yeah.
Yeah, because you and Jordan both were browns whenever y'all came to Baytown.
Dude, I remember. I can't remember what the purse was. It might have been like $500 or something to win that super fight. But I remember that was one of the first times like somebody paid me to do jiu-jitsu, and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
How do I do more of this?
Yeah.
You know, this is a blast.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Awesome.
But, yeah, I mean, that's, you know, doing jiu-jitsu, friends came up, you know, we would train with them as often as we could, like every 6 months.
Yeah.
And then I just got a ton of books and just started just reading.
Yeah, there was nothing on YouTube. I mean,
there wasn't YouTube.
There wasn't YouTube.
Yeah. There wasn't YouTube.
And there was like 3 books.
Yeah,
there was the Gracie Way, and then like a couple others.
I think
Solo came out with one.
Hoyce and his cousin, I think it's like Charles Gracie. They had like a self-defense book.
Okay.
That I got, and then I got it was like Henzo and Hoyler, and they had that was like their competition book, and I would just go through a couple techniques, start drilling, a couple more techniques. You know, it just. That's what I keep telling people. Like, I think I still have them. It's like they're upstairs at Baytown somewhere.
Yeah.
But like that's, you know, there was no YouTube. There was no.
And nobody around here knew moves.
No. Yeah.
I remember we would drill Kimura for like months.
Mm-hmm.
Like my arm would be toast from everybody drilling the Kimura on me.
Yeah. I remember when Jordan came and he was, you know, teaching a lot. We did a ton of close guard. It was just close guard, triangle, close guard, arm bar, close guard, take the back, arm drag. Like it was. But it was like it was so efficient, right? Like anybody who would come in and we'd be able to do it to them. And then whenever we started competing a lot, like we would just go in and do those moves and they were super successful. So there's no reason to get away from them, you know?
Yeah, that's like that old adage, like you only need to be the best in the world at like one move to be the best in the world.
Yeah.
If no one can stop that one move.
Yeah. It's like the 10,000 kicks versus one kick 10,000 times, you know, the Bruce Lee thing. So.
Wow. Okay. So kind of segueing back into the kids and coming up with a kids curriculum. And that's something you and I worked on this past year, a 52-week curriculum for kids. And
that's just the big kids. It's not even the 4-month curriculum for the
little guys.
The 16 weeks for the little guys.
And then the teenagers and adults.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much. I mean, you and me spent 2 hours a week for the last 6 months going through all the jiu-jitsu that we thought was appropriate to plug into a kids curriculum for a 7 to 12-year-old kid.
Correct.
And that was hard.
Yeah. I initially, I remember, I think I was talking to Britt and I was like, it kept getting brought up over the past couple of years, right? Like we needed a kids accountable.
Yeah.
But I mean, we had so much going on and it was like moving Baytown from one spot to another, trying to focus on, you know, the growth of Baytown, you know, because compared to like Memorial and Greenway and, you know, even Westheimer, like you guys are so close, right? Like, so the ability to like get around to those other locations to make sure, you know, or even just to check in, see like what are they doing at Westheimer? What are you guys doing here? What are you guys doing in Greenway?
Yeah.
Like we're so far out on the east side that it's like so tough. So it's like I was still trying to make my way over here to try to stay connected.
Yeah.
Or it was just, I didn't want to add another thing on.
Right.
So whenever you're like, hey, I'll partner with you, I was like, okay, at least I'm not gonna be stuck to my own devices of like dragging my feet in certain areas. So like, I know there's times where I'm like, oh, man, I'm not looking forward to this meeting because I knew how much effort it was going to go into it.
Yeah.
Or I thought I knew, but like you were so like, oh man, we're going to knock it out in 2-3 months. We're doing it. And then we get 2-3 months in, you're like, I don't know that we're going to need more time. Right. More time. It was just like, the more we got into it, the more was like the more quality, right? Like I'm the quality guy. Like I want to make sure what we're showing our kids is not just sufficient, but like I want to make sure that these moves will work if they had to ever use them. And I want it to be fun. I want it to be engaging. So like a lot of those things were in my mind as we were doing it. So like a couple of times, you know, you'd be like, hey, we need it this way. And I'm like, I'd dig my heels in a little bit just because I was like, I don't think that's enough. You know, we need to do more. So yeah, it's been a long 6 months and where I don't even, you know, we're still not.
Yeah, we're gonna at the end of the year, I'm sure we'll be making adjustments.
Oh, 100%. I think it's gonna pass. You know.
So okay, back to the one move 10,000 times. So what we did is we came up with takedowns, guard passes, sweeps, submissions, and escapes.
Correct.
Right, and we've got about I think 9 of each one of those, and we do them in order. So we'll do a takedown, then a guard pass, then a sweep, then a submission, then an escape.
Right.
And then repeat, and try to have them chained together as best we can.
Right.
So why do we need 8 guard passes or 8 takedowns versus 1 or 2 that we just drill over and over like we did back in the day with the closed guard cross grip game?
Oh man, so that's you know, I've always said this as an instructor, you know, just going to like different, you know, schools and you know, having friends that have opened up different, you know, gyms and stuff like that, right? Like I've never wanted to have, you know, students of mine, like I don't want them to be like carbon copies of my game, right? Like if that was the case, then, you know, like the training room would be, it would be boring, I feel like, right? Like, you know, I don't want everybody playing guard the way I play guard or passing or taking down. Like I want people to develop their own style.
Yeah.
And so kind of even adapted that with the kids. Like I'd notice kids when they get in there, like some like playing guard, which is, you know, which is different to see because they don't know what they're doing, but they'll pull guard like crazy, right? And then you see other kids that never want their back to touch the mat. You know, they always want to be on top and they want to pass. And so I feel like having more variety of techniques, even if it's not a part of the game that we actually play or like specialize in, like getting them exposed to it could give them an opportunity to like take a technique and run with it.
Yeah.
Right. Because I got kids that are, you know, armbar specialists. I got kids that are, they get to back like so easy. I like watch them, how do they get back? And I'm like, oh, I'm taking that, you know, it's really cool, you know, watching kids figure out how to do that stuff. But like, I think the variety of moves is like, it's like a buffet. Like kids get to pick and choose what they like, and then they can go back for more in that certain area because they're exposed to it, because they get so much exposure to so much different technique that they can start to inquire and ask questions. And, you know, it keeps it fun because jiu-jitsu, if I was able to do it more, you know, I don't think the 52-week curriculum is like, it's a bare minimum.
It doesn't, right? Like, it's the basics.
Yeah. It's not,
it took us 52 weeks to cover the basics of jiu-jitsu.
Correct. Yeah. And it was just like hitting the minimum spots that we thought were sufficient for kids to get a year of jiu-jitsu. We knew that if they did that year of jiu-jitsu, they would have an idea of what to do in each spot. Not necessarily they're going to be good at those spots or they're even going to have success in those spots. It's just going to take them 52 weeks to be able to get an idea of what to do when they're mounted, what to do if they're mounting, you know, what are they going to do if they're inside someone's guard or playing guard, right? Like that 52 weeks is just, it's a beginner's they're going to, if they keep training, they'll get better and better and better. But like, that's just a bare minimum.
And you're giving them 8 guard passes, 8 sweeps, 8 escapes, and you're hoping that 1 or 2 of those click for each kid.
It's not even a hope. It will.
Yeah.
Right. Like that. And that's the coolest thing through my experience is with the kids is like, if they show up with a good attitude and they give their effort, like they are going to get it. right? And that's the great thing about jiu-jitsu is like, it's the idea of what to do. And I tell them, even the kids, like the big kids, I tell them like, hey, like I do it this way. If you're finding a better way to do it that works faster for you, do it that way. You know, so it's very unique. Like every game is unique to each kid, each student. And, you know, that's, again, like having that exposure, right?
I think that's unique. You know, when you talk about like a karate or taekwondo, like you talked high block, low block, there's a way to throw a high block and a way to throw a low block.
Right.
I was teaching a guard pass yesterday to a guy in his 60s, and he didn't have the flexibility that I did with my hip, with his hip. And I was doing like the break the guard, like credit card kind of up the middle with the knee. And he's like, just won't work for me. And I'm like, okay, got it. So like the matrix pass or something other is a go-to for him.
Yeah.
And so either way, as long as he gets the guard open and passed, it's a win. And that wouldn't jive in a traditional martial art.
No. Yeah. And that was probably the biggest, that was like the hardest thing as I transitioned from like more traditional karate teaching into jiu-jitsu was like, it took years, right? Of like being okay with people not doing it the way that I was doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Because as a, you know, a karate person, it was like, you're going to do it this way. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You're doing it this way. There's no deviation. There's no, and that was kind of the thing towards the end of my karate career that I was starting to feel was like, I was not running out of techniques to learn, but like I'd kind of hit a limit and I'd put so many years into it that it was starting to get boring because there was no opportunity to be unique. There was no opportunity to like, you know, you could combine moves in different ways, but like, you know, there was no new kick that I thought I could create or something, a punch or combination or something like that.
You could get a little better at the 10 kicks that you knew, but that was sort of the end of it.
That was it. Like, and it was just, you know, at that point, it was just like kind of, you know, your martial arts or your style was like a knife, right? Like you're just sharpening it. You're constantly sharpening it. And at that point, like my knife was so sharp, like all I was doing was like breaking up the edge and resharpening it again. Like there was no resharpening over and over. I'd had to like kept breaking my edge to resharpen it again just because I had already put so much time and effort into it. Like it was time for me to move on to something else.
And how's jiu-jitsu different?
Jiu-jitsu is different because of like, number one, karate or, you know, other traditional martial arts, you could do by yourself, right? There's a lot of forms. There's a lot of like techniques, high block, low block, front kick, back kick. Like you can do that by yourself constantly, which is good. And that's I think a big thing for like mental development, right? Like having the self-discipline to work by yourself.
Yeah.
Right. That is, it's different than jiu-jitsu because in jiu-jitsu, you typically do need a training partner or nowadays people have like dummies that they work on and stuff like that. Yeah, but
those don't really.
Right. But like having an actual person that you can ask to like up the resistance to like make sure the move is like actually working.
Yeah.
I think that was like the biggest difference between like karate and jiu-jitsu. Like the way I swept one person wasn't necessarily the same way that I could sweep the next person. Like
it doesn't work.
Yeah. It was like I had to manipulate it or make it deviate in just a little way just to make it work with one person from the next, which was cool because I wasn't doing the same move over and over again. I was doing the move like 1,000 different ways. So I had an idea of like how to do this one move, but I was putting so much time into it that when I moved on to the next move, it was cool to move on to another move to do it 1,000 different ways versus just the same move over and over and over and over again the same way.
Yeah. I like that. And then, so, you know, one of the, what advice would you have? So I talk to a lot of parents that don't train and they're watching their kid and they have no idea. If I said, you know, they got a great cross grip from the close guard, they're like, what is, you know, I don't know what any of that is.
Yeah.
So, you know, for parents that want their kids to do more stuff at the house to like get better at jiu-jitsu, like are there drills they can do at home, or is this just like, no, you have to do it with a training partner?
So,
because you can practice karate at home in the mirror and get better at that.
Yes.
And that's legit, and people should do that for those styles, right?
So there's two things with that thought process, right? Like number one is that parent that is inquiring in that capacity, they typically start training because they want, I've had it happen so many times, like kids are training, and then the parents are like, I want to support my kid. I want to know what my kid's doing, so I'm going to start training.
Cool.
And then the kid falls off like a couple years. They're playing other sports. They're kids, right? They're getting life experience, and then the parent will actually stick with it longer, or the kid will come back to it later on, or the kid just finds a different like passion, and then the parent actually finds out that they really enjoy jiu-jitsu. Not just for the
those
kid,
parents
but for them.
that are super into it and asking questions, they
Do it.
They need to jump in and do it.
Yeah, just because it from the outside, and we hear this all the time, right? It looks easy, right? It looks like you're just wrestling someone.
Okay.
Right? Like, I even get this from the students. Like, I'll show a move, and they're like, "Oh man, that looks easy." I'm like, "Great, go do it." And they'll try to do it, and they're like, "What's going on? Like, I can't do it." And I'm like, "Well, I've put so many reps into it to make it look like that. Like, it's not easy." You know, and that's kind of the thing that I constantly tell people is like, when they're like, "Oh, it's easy," I'm like, "Go do it," and they go do it. It's the same thing as like I've got a passion for working out. Like, I watch people do things. I'm like, "Oh, that looks easy." I go do it, and I'm like, "Holy crap, that is hard."
Yeah.
And so I think that's the same experience with parents where they look at it and they're like, "Why is my son getting held down by that little bitty girl?" And I'm like, that little bitty girl is like a spider monkey. Like, I'll put you out there and you try to get her off. Good luck, right? Or you even said like, in the past, like, give your 5-year-old like a marker and try not to get a mark on you, and try to take the marker away from that kid. Like, good luck. Like, you're going to end up looking like a coloring book.
Yes.
So it's that I feel like a parent that is inquiring in that capacity should start training, because they'll have a better understanding.
Yeah, that's fair.
And like when they're trying to give their kid coaching, they'll have an understanding of like, okay, like maybe I shouldn't be coaching from the sideline, telling my kid to do this and this, because it's not that easy, right? Like, just stand up. Like, that's not it's not a real thing for some people when they're training, because it does take quite a bit of technique and mental fortitude sometimes just to be able to handle the spots.
I would add kind of PSA for anybody like in their late 30s, 40s, or 50s that does want to jump into training. I recommend doing 5 or 10 private lessons.
Sure.
To ease your way into it. Like, it is training jiu-jitsu at 17 versus 47. Yeah. There's different things, different struggles.
Yeah, but I think too, like, that's we're biased just because we're in the room so much, but like, I think our training rooms are great for anybody.
I agree.
Right? Like, we have so many people that are young, middle-aged, right, to even older age that are training, and the amount of training partners that they have, and the safety standard that we try to maintain is very high. So like, the ability for someone to come in, do privates, feel comfortable, and jump into class without the high risk of injury, I feel like that's like one of our best qualities about our training spaces.
I agree, especially when you get 40 or 50 people in a group class. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that might seem like, oh my gosh, it's a bunch of people, but you need that many people. You need some brand new white belts. You need some black belts that have been doing it for 30 years. You need older people. You need younger people. You need teenagers. When you have all the different people, ages, and body types, then you can pair people up better. Versus if you got 7 people and 5 of them are Neanderthals and 2 of them are brand new beanpoles,
Yeah. That was like advanced class last night. Like, our Wednesday advanced class is probably our smallest attending class.
Okay.
And it's like, I had like Jamie, who's a 115-pound purple belt, right? I had Ryan Wartbach, who's a 130-pound teenager purple belt. But then I have Angel, right? Coach Angel, who's 230 brown belt.
Right.
Right. I got all these different people, but it's only like 8 of them.
Right.
So they're like, I'm trying to match them up and make sure that they're good, because it is advanced class. So they're all hunting.
Yeah, they're bringing it.
Yeah. So it's like making sure that someone's not going to get overzealous and hurt someone, or, someone's not going to invert and end up getting, squashed like a pancake, right? Like, it still does take that. But yeah, because the room is so small, it does limit the amount of training partners you get, versus a bigger room. The more exposure to training partners, the more you're going to be able to feel comfortable in any uncomfortable spot.
Yeah. Okay. So back to the kids in the 52-week curriculum. So, a kid's been training for a year, and, the kids' belt ranking system here at Elite goes, the white belt, and then the gray belts, and then the camo belts, and then yellow, orange, and green.
Right.
After about a year, where are they on that belt journey, and how important is ranking to keep kids interested and to acknowledge their progress?
So after about a year, I would say with a consistent training schedule, 2-3 days a week, a kid would be at probably around like they'd be in the gray belts, right?
Okay.
The way we designed it initially was like so many belts with, a stripe on each belt. It should take roughly a year to go through all the white belts, the white, gray,
Sure.
white camel, white yellow, white orange, white green, right? To get into the gray belt system, the half white, half gray. So it's usually right around a year. Same thing for the gray belts, right? Roughly around a year. Same thing for the camel belts, roughly around a year. So your child shouldn't be going from white to yellow unless they've got about 3 years of experience.
Right.
Right. Now there are outliers, right?
Yeah. A kid that's coming 4 or 5 days a week. And
Yeah,
doing
right.
private lessons.
But even then, it's still probably wouldn't happen because there are some metrics we use, right? Time, making sure minimum number of classes and stuff like that. So like there are some things that are in there that are kind of like are built in there to make sure that the kid is coming in, right? That is a part too of like earning rank is like making sure you're showing up consistently.
Yeah.
Right. Like having a consistent
routine
schedule.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people think they need to come in those 4 or 5 days a week. And I'm like, no, just give me 2. Right. Like I have people that just do the Tuesday, Thursday morning classes that have been doing it for years. And they're like, is this enough? I'm like, you show up those two days, like you will get better. It may not be as fast as someone who's coming 4 days a week, but at the same time, the more you do something, the higher rate of burnout, injury, stuff like that is. So like, I think the 2 to 3 days a week that we suggest is gives the kid time to be a kid, right? On the days they're not training. But it also gives them some structure and consistency inside of something that's going to take them a long time to get good at.
Yeah.
Right.
So after a year of training, they've only been through the curriculum one time. So they've seen how to escape the armbar once. They've seen arm bars from the mount once. They've seen the lion killer choke once. They've only seen like all these moves one time.
Right.
Like how well can they do some of these moves?
That's a good question. And I think that goes back to like the specializing of the game or the uniqueness of the game of that kid. Right.
Okay.
Because once they get their green stripe, right, their safety stripe, they're allowed to do submissions. You'll see people that start to gravitate towards submissions, right? Like I said, I got kids that strictly do arm bars, right? They get to the back and I'm like, lion killer choke, and they find a way to get the arm bar, right? And then vice versa. Like they'll be on mount and I'm like, okay, there's the arm bar. And they like force the kid to roll over to take the back to choke them,
Yeah.
So I think they'll be able to get enough practice in their submissions because like once they're shown it and once they're able to start applying it, they're inside of the rolling or the sparring section, like they're able to put the reps into whatever they want, right? If they like playing guard and we're working passes, once we get into sparring, they're gonna be playing guard. Like, I don't force any of the kids or anybody to do anything, right? We'll do like specific sparring sessions, but like once they're sparring, I want to see what they're gonna be doing. I don't want to. And I want to support that. I don't want to change anybody's game and make it into something that they're not wanting to do or uncomfortable with,
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this. So as a kid rolls into the gray belt system, how important is it, do you, say just you said arm bars, right? Do you go to all the kids that are getting their gray belt, hey, walk me through, show me how to do an arm bar? Or do you just go, is the kid getting arm bars? Like how important is it that they know the technique perfectly versus the application of it?
Both,
okay.
I would say, right? Like if they're, again, consistent and it's easier for one of the instructors, right? Like if I came over to Memorial, haven't had a lot of exposure to a lot of the students, but I can look from the outside and watch when kids especially are rolling, right? Because it's kind of like free play. It's like recess. So you can kind of see what they're liking to do. And then, if you see them do a move, once every round, and then I would go to that kid and be like, hey, that was a good arm bar. Show me how to do it. Can you tell me how to do it? And they're like, oh, well, I grab the arm here and I turn and I throw my leg over here. Like if they're able to communicate that in like those simplest terms, like most of the time, that's a high level of understanding.
Yeah. And we're talking about an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old.
Yeah. We have, adults.
They can't explain it. Yeah.
Right. They can do it, but then you're like, hey, how'd you do that? And they're like, well, I just did it.
I just did it. I threw my leg over his head.
But that's the great thing about kids is like, you've asked them a question, they're typically going to answer, right? With whatever's in their brain. Like there's no story or anything there, try to look good most of the time. We're just like, an adult's asking me a question, I'm answering them, kind of thing. So You know, like that's what I think that's what I would be looking at into a student, is like looking at them and seeing what they're gravitating towards, and then asking them, just inquiring like, hey, do you know how you did that? They're like, yeah, well, I always like doing it when I get here. I'm like, okay, well, what are you looking for? And they're like, well, they stick their arm out and I throw my leg over, and you know, they fall down, and I have my move I want, you know. So it's like kind of like asking the questions without them knowing you're wanting to really know if they know it or not.
Right. And so after a kid that's been training for about a year, what can they do? How well can they defend themselves against their peers? You know, the bully on the playground, the other, you know, kids out on the...
I think they should be able to deal with like being pushed around, right? Like that's something we always do, you know, in our with like bully self-defense, right? Dealing with the push, being able to have their base, not getting pushed and like losing their balance and falling backwards and, you know, sticking their arms out and, you know, possibly hurting themselves. They should have a pretty good base, right? Like being able to stand, right? We call it Jiu Jitsu stance, right? Where they open their feet, bend their knees. So if they're getting pushed around, they're not losing balance.
Okay.
They should be able to deal with that, right? They should be able to confidently feel like they can get anybody to the ground, right? Like double leg, single leg.
So if the bully's shoving them around,
Yeah.
they should be able to change levels.
They should be able to change levels or be able to get to a clinch and be able to get that guy to get, or that person to the ground, right?
Yep.
That guy or girl that's messed with them, get them to the ground, get to a dominant position, right? And be able to at least hold them there. I feel like that's pretty doable for a kid that's been training for a year solid.
Yeah. So, and is that against, you know, a kid about their age and size, or, you know, bigger kids, or?
I would say same age and same size, maybe a little bigger, right? Just because jiu-jitsu is, you know, how we're teaching it. It's technical, right? It shouldn't matter how small or big you are for the move to work.
Right.
If you're doing the move step by step. Now there are, you know, strength is a thing.
If a kid is literally twice your size, if you got a 80-pound kid going against a 160-pound kid, that's a different animal.
Yeah. Even in class, I see it all the time. I'll put like, you know, I have this one little yellow belt. His name's Damien. He's been training since he was 3. He's 10. Right. He started doing private lessons actually during Harvey. It's you know, he came in, his parents signed him up during Harvey.
Got it.
And he's been training this whole time. Dude, kid's a monster, right? But he's, you know, 10 and he's tiny, right? He's probably like 50 pounds.
Okay.
And sometimes I'll put him with way bigger kids, bigger old white belts, and because I know he'll come after them. Yeah. And they're picking him up and trying to ragdoll him, and he's maintains his base. He finds a way to get under him, take him down. So it's really cool, like watching that. But at the same time, there's some kids that he tries to take him down and they stuff him down to the ground, and he's got to deal with that adversity of like being on his back against this big old kid, and you know, but he finds a way out, or he taps and he gets back up and gets back after it, you know?
Yeah.
So like as a gray belt, right? Like again, he's a yellow belt, he's training forever, right? Yeah. Like he can deal with that. Yeah. And I put him in those situations. I know he can deal with it. I'm not going to do that to the brand new kid that's been training for 3 months that the parents already told us that they're dealing with bullies. Right. You're
not going to overwhelm that kid.
Yeah. You want to build their confidence up first to know that if they had to use it, they could. Yeah. Right. Damien has that, right? Somebody who's in 3 months, they may get it, right? They may be building confidence, but like the second something bad happens, the confidence breaks down again and you have to build it back up. So
yeah. And you do that by a bunch of small wins over and over again.
Yeah.
So they believe in themselves.
Small wins. They do need some stumbles, right? That's a part of martial arts, I feel like, right? Is like, you need those, like you've always said, like those breakdowns and breakthroughs, right? Like, yeah. But you don't want the breakdown to be so big that they want to quit. Right. That's the hardest part, I feel like, of managing the kids classes, right? Because they're so young, they don't understand typically why they're doing what they're doing, right? You know, you try to explain it to them, it's just above their heads, but like naturally they'll gravitate towards what you're telling them to do. But if they feel like you put them with someone trying to beat them up, you know, you lose that confidence that you've taken that whatever amount of time you put into them to build them up, and then you have to rebuild that confidence back up again, right? Yeah. I've done that plenty of time, made that mistake plenty of times too, you know, so it's just a part of it, you know?
Okay, so the gray belts, after they've been training about a year, they can, if somebody's on the playground shoving them around a little bit, they should be able to take them down, get on top, get to a dominant position, which is, you know, mount or backpack or, you know, get the teacher's help, that sort of thing.
Even just like the confidence to take care of themselves, right? Like after a year, the confidence, right? Like
the fight or flight.
Yeah, the fight or flight is a big thing.
They can hang in there. They don't have to run. They don't have to start swinging. They can
they can stand their ground.
They can stand their ground.
They can stand their ground. They know that, if they have to defend themselves, they can defend themselves, and it's usually against someone similar about their size, about their age.
Yeah.
Right. Someone, and you're going to see that in their class.
Some other kid that doesn't train, the kid that's been training for a year should be able to hold his own.
Yes.
And then after they've been training 2 years and they're kind of rolling into the camo belts that we have at Elite, what are they equipped for then?
So that it's just, I feel like the camo belt's like an extenuation of the gray belt.
Okay.
Right? Like they're learning more. Or not learning necessarily more, but they're seeing the techniques again.
They're seeing the second year, the same techniques from the first year. They're seeing it for the second time.
Right. And then even then, as coaches, we can go around, and if you see they have a high level of, not mastery, but like a high level of skill in that technique, like I'll add on more, right? Like specifically, I'll go to a kid and like, man, you really look good with that X choke. Like, what do you do when someone defends it? And I'm like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, well, they defend it this way. Let's try this. And I'll, we'll start drilling extra stuff, or I'll give them, little extra coaching here and there, just to make sure that they understand that there's more than one way to get to a move, or there's more. You don't have to stick with just one move. You can move off to the next thing.
And you could do that after they've started to get a basic
100%.
Understanding of the moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's a specific number of, especially submissions, right? Line killer, X choke, armbar, Americana, Kimura, triangle choke.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's a very small, limited amount of like actual submissions they can go for, but there's a bunch of ways that they can figure out how to combine them. And so I figure right around camo belt is when they're starting to figure out what submissions they like. And then it's just kind of like adding to the toolbox.
So they're starting to get a game around camo belt.
They're starting to figure out not necessarily where, like how they're going to get there, but they know where they want to be.
That's kind of similar to the adults who've been training for about 2 years as well. They're in that similar stage.
Yeah, like a mid-level blue belt, like a 2-stripe blue belt, right? Like blue belt, I felt like was like, it's like data acquisition, right? Like I want my blue belts to be exposed to as much jiu-jitsu as possible, because it's inside of that blue belt where they're getting to experiment to figure out what works well for them and what doesn't. But at the same time, whatever it doesn't, I tell them, I like, don't forget it, because you're going to run into it again, right? It may be something that you pick up later on down the line, right? But like being exposed to as much jiu-jitsu as possible, so you can start to figure out what you like and what you don't like, and learning how, like, if someone throws something at you, like try to figure out how to counter it or how to deal with it, right? That's like in that blue belt area, right? So again, they don't know where they're exactly going or how they're going to get there, but they're trying to figure out a way to get to that position or get to that spot that they want to be in. It's the same thing for the kids.
And a kid that's been training for 2 years, that's in those camo belts, like what can they deal with self-defense wise? Punches or kicks or?
I think some like punches, right? Like if a bully pushes them and they step back and they have their hands up and they try to throw a haymaker, they'll know how to close the distance, get to the clinch. Again, do everything like a gray belt, like getting them down to the mat or getting them down to the ground effectively. I feel like at camo belt they'll be able to do that, but they'll be able to deal with like someone swinging at them.
A little bit more chaos than
a little bit added
training
chaos
for a year. Yeah. And so does the gray belt? Are they exposed to the punches and the kicks?
Yeah, they still are. Yeah, it's the same thing, that it's still built into the curriculum, but it's like it's where we take a little bit more time with the white belts and the gray belts, just because it's
they need those extra reps, and it takes
that and the confidence building, right? Like if you get a kid that has been doing it forever, you can tell the difference. Like they're so calm, they're like calm under pressure, right? Versus a kid that's only been training for a couple months.
You put some boxing gloves on a kid and start swinging at a kid.
They're gonna quit.
They're
right?
Gonna quit.
Yeah, they're gonna quit. They're just like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to get hit. That's not fun. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So
so they need that year or two of confidence before you can really start throwing haymakers at them.
100%, if not even a little more, right? Like we're talking like the 80%, right? This is good for the 80%, but there's always going to be some that need a little more time and some that are going to pick it up a little bit faster, right? But just for that, probably like 80-85%. They need that time. They need those reps in order to feel comfortable that they could do it if they had to.
Yeah. And then if they can't they at least have the confidence to know that if they get knocked on their butt, they have a plan.
Yeah, they know what to do when they're on their back.
Yeah.
Right. That's like the most unique. That was kind of the coolest thing that drew me into jiu-jitsu is like, I didn't, I was like, oh, nobody's going to take me down. I can get on top. I can beat anybody up, like, and then I get put on my back and I have zero idea what to do. So like, once I started learning about the guard, like that became so much more fun, like learning how to play guard, especially as a bigger guy. Right. And having like a really good guard and having like, if someone took me down, like the confidence that I could sweep or submit anybody, like if I got put on my back was like a big thing. So same thing for the kids. Like we want them to know both top and bottom. They may be like top more, maybe like bottom more, but we want them to feel confident wherever they're being taken to.
Golly, it's as a coach coaching the kids, it takes a while for them to get the guard down. It's been my experience.
Yeah.
Like for them to be able to, because I'll even ask them, what's your favorite sweep from the guard? And they just look at me like, what?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, that move you just did. And they're like, oh, this one? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I don't know what it's called, but I can do it.
Yeah.
Well, how long does it take usually before you see kids starting to get a good guard and armbar kids from the guard and that sort of thing?
Probably like yellow belt. So
Okay.
probably about three to 4 years in.
The 3 to 4 year mark.
Yeah, 3 to 4 years, usually around yellow belt. And that's whenever you will watch a kid at that level and you're like, okay, that kid knows what they're doing, right? It's like kind of the first time I saw a purple belt, right? Like,
yeah.
I was like, oh man, that person knows what they're doing.
You're like, I don't know what that is, but I can tell they know what that is, and that's legit.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what the yellow belts are doing. They're doing jiu-jitsu.
So yellow belt's similar to like an adult purple belt.
Yeah, I think so. It's equivalent.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, most adult blue belts start to get a good guard, but purple belts they get pretty
hard to deal with.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say
they're
that.
assassins.
Yeah, all the purple belts that I typically have, even high like 4-stripe blues and purples, they're definitely playing guard, and it's annoying to deal with, right? Because they're getting behind my back, they're getting underneath me, doing all this stuff. So the same thing for kids, like they get on their back, and a kid is like, oh, I'm gonna pin you down, and all of a sudden they get flipped over, get flower swept or scissor swept, or even get arm barred, knocked over. It's like, okay, I can't mess with this kid.
Dude, jiu-jitsu takes a while to get good at, huh?
Dude, I'm still not great at it.
Come on, man.
It's constant. It is a perishable skill, right? Like if you do not train consistently, like you could still do the move, right? Like you're
going to lose your timing. You're going to lose your edge.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like you had to take time off, right? And then when you came back, like you could tell you knew what you were doing. It was just like your step to the right was half a second too slow.
Yeah,
right? It just takes time. So it's like if you're not training consistently, it will your timing and your decision making will go down. Not necessarily the actual skill of it, just your timing will.
Yeah, it takes a while to get back in. So, okay, so the kids getting to yellow belt. When we looked, we did a little science experiment the other day, and most of those kids had done between 300 and 350 classes, and that's about a 3 to 4 year kind of time commitment.
Yeah, I think it was around like 3.5, 4 years.
And then your yellow belts, okay, so they can deal with someone punching them, someone kicking them, someone pushing them. If they get knocked on their butt, they can submit somebody from the guard.
Or sweep them.
And then how about bigger opponents?
Yeah, I feel like, Damien, right?
Yeah.
He's a yellow belt.
Yeah.
I constantly put him with bigger people.
Yeah.
Right? Because, if I put him with someone his size, he's smoking him, right? That's how good he is as a yellow belt, right? Like he needs the challenge of
bigger opponents.
And he needs someone that's not going to just fall over for him, right?
Yeah.
Someone that's a bigger person obviously is going to look at him and be like, oh, I'm going to squash this kid, And so whenever he starts knocking him around and they start applying more effort, I feel like he needs that. He needs to feel when someone's really coming at him, that's a bigger person, so that he can still remain calm and think about his jiu-jitsu while someone's trying to ragdoll him around the mat, or trying to mush him down into keep him on his back. Like as they get more experience, they need to be put in the fire a little bit more, I feel like.
So what I'm hearing you say is, if I want my kid to be able to defend someone trying to push him, someone trying to punch him, someone trying to kick him, someone trying to tackle him, and if my kid ends up on his back, that's going to take 3 or 4 years of training.
At least.
I can't get that done in a year. There's no shortcut in that.
No.
There's no private lesson I could do to show the kid how to be proficient at that.
No.
It's like hitting a golf ball or a baseball. You just have to take a bazillion reps at it to get good at it.
Yeah. And just because it's, like we already said, it's the timing. It's the timing, and it's the like knowing when exactly to do it. Because usually when they're drilling with not a lot of resistance, right? And if any of the parents that are listening have ever watched their kid and watch the kid's class and look, you see 90% of the kids doing it, and you see the 10% like kind of laying around, tongue rolling around on the ground, and the coach is trying to help that kid, but like those are kids, right? We're still only dealing with 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 year olds. Like I constantly tell even my mentors and my coaches, I'm like, guys, you have to give them a little grace. Like we're expecting them to do moves that adults have a hard time with, right? And these are only kids. And you have to be able to communicate jiu-jitsu in the most like simple manner. Like, hey, I want you to snake your arm under. Like you have to find like little funny things that they'll be able to remember, because in the heat of the moment, that fight or flight, it's still there. Like I think it's even more apparent with the kid just because they don't have a lot of life experience to know how to deal with stress and how to deal with anxiety and stuff like that. So like the more we're like making it into a game and getting them to understand like that there's nothing bad that's really going to happen on the mat, like in a training room. But at the same time, like I'd rather your buddy over here tries to kill you, right? Like tries to get at you and tries to put it on you rather than some bully out in the schoolyard, right? Like
you're training like NASA level serious situations.
Correct.
Like we're in the space shuttle, we're running out of oxygen.
Yeah.
How do we get more oxygen?
Yes.
That's what you're training, and
Correct.
you're trying to do that in a way for these kids not to freak out. And you're training an 8 or 10-year-old that's not paying attention and picking their nose and doing all the things that kids do.
Licking the mat.
Licking the mat.
God. Yeah. They're kids. They're kids. And that actually has taken me the longest time. Like it's only been inside of probably the past like 5-6 years, right? Like any of the kids that come back, they're like, I don't remember you being that nice to me when I was in kids class. And part of it's right. Like I was
more drill sergeant back in the day.
Very drill sergeant, because that's just the way that I grew up doing
in the traditional martial art,
right?
Yeah, do it this way.
Yeah,
20 push-ups.
But man, like you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar.
Yeah,
right. So like, I want these kids to stick around, so I have to give them some leniency. And I got to remember, everybody has bad days, everybody has good days, even myself. So like, if I come in on a bad day for me, it's not responsible to take it out on the kids. And I actually tell them that too, right? When they come in and I see that they're off, I'll pull them aside and I'm like, it really is up to you, the kid, to make this a good class or not. I can't do it, right? Like, it's, if you want it to be, if you're going to have a bad day, this is most likely going to be a bad class, right? Like you want to come in, even if you're getting dropped off here, like you just didn't want to come today. Like it's really going to be up to you to flip the switch in your head and make it so that you can have a good day. And it still doesn't typically turn out to be a good day, but the more that they start to hear that, the more they start to realize that they're the biggest difference maker in their life, right?
That's
like,
cool.
If they show up and they have a great attitude and they put in the effort, like things are typically going to turn out great.
Attitude and effort.
It's all typically we need. Yeah.
So, all right, just to dumb this down, if I bring my kid to your class for 5 years and they show up with a good attitude and good effort, they're going to be able to scrap.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. And it's not, and 1 year is better than nothing, but
so
this just takes time.
Not only would they be able to scrap, right? I would probably have 100% confidence that they'd be able to take care of themselves. Yeah. They're also going to most likely be a good kid. Yeah. Right. Like they're going to be helping out at home with chores. They're going to, you tell them to do something. They're yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. Right. Mm-hmm. They're going to be kids in class are going to be looking up to that kid. Right. So they're going to have a sense of leadership and a sense of like helping. Right. Because that's a big part of our program. Right. Is take time to help others because someone took the time to help you. Right. Like every new kid that comes in class, they're not just getting thrown in and sink or swim, right? We give them with someone specific that's going to help them. They, get massaged into the program, right? They have specific tasks that they're given and they get to work with different people. So like everybody gets a chance to be a leader. And at the the higher number of years, like the expectation that that person can help someone is higher.
Right.
Right. So like naturally your kid is going to be really great at defending themselves. Probably be able to communicate at a kid level what they should be doing to another kid, right?
Right.
Given a technique. But they're also going to be kids that the kids that you see on the mat, or the kids that are out in public that you're like, man, that's a good kid. I wonder how their parents are raising them.
Yeah, I can't think of any of our kids that are yellow, orange, green belts that are not good kids.
Correct. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, that's fair. And so what you're saying is, hey, these kids have an opportunity to get trained in leadership just by just by getting paired with a brand new kid. So if you pair them with a brand new kid, then they have to communicate with this brand new kid, hey, chill out, relax, try it this way. They are learning to coach and learning to be leaders.
Learning how to communicate
better. And that might be equally as important as learning how to scrap.
I think it is equally important, right?
Yeah.
Because when they grow up and they're adults, right, they're going to have jobs. And this is even a conversation I have with the kids. I'm like, you're doing hard things now so that when you grow up, the hard things don't seem that hard, right? Like you can't just quit when something is hard, right? Like we all want to quit. Like I don't want to be at work every day. I don't want to be teaching class every day, but I'm so used to doing hard things, even whenever my mind is telling me not to do it, because of the training that I've gotten doing jiu-jitsu, doing karate, doing all these hard things. And so I feel like that's a life skill that is becoming less and less prominent. And that's not something that I would ever want a kid that I have the privilege of being a part of their life to ever struggle with, right? Like I want these kids to be successful, not just on the mats, but off the mats. You know, we only have them a couple years, right?
Yeah.
If we're lucky, if lucky longer, a couple of them. But at the same time, like I've had so many kids come back and be like, I remember you. I remember what you said. I remember, and that's kind of the coolest aspect of our job is you don't know who you're making a difference with until years later.
I joke you should be the mayor of Baytown because you've had thousands of kids. They'd all vote for you, or maybe not. Maybe they'd vote against you. I don't know.
Maybe depends on if I got onto them a lot or not in class.
Okay, how about tournaments? I get a lot of questions. Parents are saying like, hey, because when you compare jiu-jitsu to say a baseball or basketball, like there's a season, there's games that I can watch my kid win or lose at. They can bring the grandparents to come watch.
Right.
Like jiu-jitsu, there's not that many opportunities. They're just doing class 2 to 3 days a week for 5 years.
Right.
There's belt graduations that are a couple times a year when we have these big events.
Yeah.
But there's jiu-jitsu is not a very fun spectator sport.
It's not very fan friendly, right? Because a lot of times, we even said parents that are sitting on the sidelines, like they don't know.
They don't know what's happening.
They don't know what's
out there.
happening. They just know that their kid someone's on top of their kid, and all of a sudden their kid's on top of the other kid, and then all of a sudden someone taps, and then they stop.
Then how come this newer kid beat my kid who's been doing it longer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Like that's a thing. There's kids that come in that are just athletes, right? They're athletic. They've been doing baseball, football. I think that comes down to coaching, right? Like that's a conversation that we ask kids when they come in, or parents. It's like, has your kid done any other sports? Oh yeah, my kid's been playing select baseball since he was 4, and he's burnt out at 9. He wants to do something else. He really wants to do jiu-jitsu, and that kid will typically come in and be very successful right out the gate.
Yeah.
The thing is that when they start to run into adversity, that's whenever it's like a tipping point. Like,
interesting. So they've got some physical. So
they know how to move their body.
They can move their body well
because through space because of all the time they put into another sport.
Yep.
But because jiu-jitsu is so different and like what you're trying to accomplish, and once you start running into obstacles,
I've seen that a lot now that you mention it.
Right, like the problem solving.
When they get submitted, they get pissed.
Oh man,
and they hate it because they've
yeah.
been trained that losing is the worst thing that could ever happen to you.
And losing it happens every day, every minute on the mat. Like
yes,
you're all, like whenever you're coaching for me. Whenever I had to get my black belt, I was such a bad training partner. I was a quote unquote mat slapper.
We'd submit you and you'd bang the mat.
I'd get so mad. And I remember you're like, you are not a great training partner. Like you're a good training partner, but at the same time, you are. If we submit you, we don't know if you're gonna be like a bomb blowing up or something. And I was like, okay, what are you saying? Like, you need to get good at being submitted. And I was like, keep the black belt, Frost. I don't want the black belt, because it was just such a part of like the winning and losing, just mindset. But I mean, in order to actually really get good at jiu-jitsu, you need to lose.
And the homework for you we gave you was like,
Get tapped out by everybody.
let everybody
Like
tap you
white
out.
belts,
White belts,
black belts, kids, adults, like whoever. And it took me a good solid couple weeks to even just attempt it.
Yeah.
And then a good solid couple of months just of applying it, like letting it happen and being with my own emotion of like feeling like I'm not good enough because I'm getting submitted by everybody, and
Yes.
it's just a story in my head. But like that story had lived in my head for so many years. Like it took so long to it didn't even break. It just actually become okay with it. Right. And it was probably, I think, like 4 or 5 months before I came back to you. I was like, okay, I did the
I'm not
homework.
slapping the mat anymore.
Not slapping the mat. I'm not getting as mad. Like, okay.
Mat slapper.
Dude, I remember
love
that
it.
mat slapper. But like, yeah, like kids.
Yeah, if a kid's been wired, it's baseball specifically.
Yeah.
I see a lot of, I don't know what it is about baseball, but yeah, they, and then that's when they're rolling and then they're losing. So they put a little forearm in the face, a little finger in the eye. They start getting some cheap shots in there just because they've been programmed not to lose. And their parents or coaches or whoever have said losing is the worst thing that you could ever do. You want to be a winner. We want you to win at all cost.
Yeah.
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 And then I think that's one of the best things that even adults in jiu-jitsu can get is the ego killer. It kills the ego. You have to give up. I give up. I give up. I give up. And there's that, I can't remember who said it, but like if you lose a game of basketball, you're like, yeah, well, I could kick that guy's ass. But when you lose a jiu-jitsu, like you are losing and it's forcing you to give up. In a wrestling match, you can lose, but you don't tap out. And the tapping out, the saying, I give up, I submit, I submit, I submit, I submit, I submit. Uncle. Make them say uncle. And you're saying it over and over again. There's something that does to your neuro-linguistic brain. I don't know, that has you sort of just become a better person, I feel like.
100%, right? Because I think you start to understand that like you need to be great with everybody because you don't know what people know, right? Like, like Ryan Wartenbach is 5'4", 130 pounds. So unassuming. He's a hardworking kid. He actually just graduated. He runs his own lawn care business. Like,
yeah, great guy.
The kid now, or I would say, man, he's gonna be 18 in a month. Like, he's a great person now.
Yeah,
but that took years of development.
Yes.
Right. And then anybody that runs up on Ryan, like, God be with him. Man.
Yeah,
like,
they got a bad day.
Yeah, but he's so great though. Like he doesn't get riled up nearly as easy as say someone who has 3 months experience.
Yeah.
And are just starting to train. Like he's been put through the fire so many times that he knows that he's going to do whatever it takes to not have to hurt someone because he knows that he can't. He's totally capable of it. And, he just training in a violent sport like jiu-jitsu teaches you that you don't want to be violent, right? It's so weird, right? Like the kids that are really great, they're really great kids because they know what it looks like to make someone tap, possibly even hurt someone, because that does happen also too, right? Like we're not playing patty cake, right? We're twisting arms, we're grabbing necks, we're squeezing things.
Yeah, it's the real deal.
That doesn't feel good, right? So like that, knowing what you're capable of, I think will give you a sense of confidence to take care of yourself. But at the same time, there is some like empathy around like not wanting to have to do that to someone. Right?
Yeah.
So like kids, they get that. They're like, I don't want to hurt that.
They get that self-control. They get that empathy.
Even my son, Kai, our youngest, like, he's like, I'm like, why did you let that person roll like that with you? He's like, I didn't want to hurt him, Dad. And I'm like, okay, but like, you got to let him know what's up, but like, you can't just let him roll over you like that. And he's like, okay. And then next time he'll go a little too far. And I'm like, hey, you got to back it down. So it's a constant, it's a constant juggle back and forth, especially teaching kids, right?
Okay, so what do you do if you got a kid that's he's been training 2 weeks and he's a mat slapper? How do you communicate with that kid? Who do you pair him up with? How do you communicate with the parents?
Yeah. So I would definitely pull the kid aside.
They're
and just,
athletic. They've been playing the other
Ooh,
sports.
okay. Yeah. So that's a tough one, just because I feel like the conversation with the kid is very important, right? Like, hey, we don't need to do that. Like, why are we slapping the mat? Well, I'm mad because this person got me. It's okay. Well, why are you mad? Well, they made me tap out.
No, not even that. They didn't tap. He was joking me. I'm like, well, you're supposed to tap. We've been over this. He was joking me. I don't want to tap. Well,
yeah,
you
so
got to
like,
tap.
Yeah, so like the conversation with the kid, right? Just trying to get them to understand, like, it's just practice, right? Like,
Okay.
it's not for a medal. There's no gold medals on the mat. They get picked up because someone taps or doesn't tap.
Yeah.
And if it continues on, then the conversation with the parent is we just try to create a relationship with the parent where they need to kind of help support us and let the kid know that, that they're just proud of them for just getting in there and getting after it, right? Like, not necessarily like telling them like how great they are or how not great they are. It's just like the kid typically needs to understand, and it takes a while that just them getting on the mat and putting the effort and learning how to win gracefully and lose gracefully is a big part of not just jiu-jitsu, but of life, right? Like, you're going to win and lose as an adult too, right? You're going to get a job. You're going to get overstepped for a promotion. You're going to, you're going to have friends that aren't great friends and
Sure.
you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of things that winning and losing with some dignity and some grace is really important.
What about the dad that's watching and he's like coaching the kid at home? He's like, we've been over that. Come on, don't let him.
Oh man, they would 100% get a personal invitation for me to come on the mat and show me how great they are.
Right.
I'm being totally serious. Like, if it's a constant conversation with the parent and it's going to become like hey, there's no coaching from the sidelines,
Yeah.
right? Like, please. And I've had to have this conversation with a couple of parents because I'm like, you understand, like, your kid is your kid. They are going to listen to you over me 99% of the time.
Yeah.
So if I'm trying to coach them and help them understand a move and you're over there yelling, they are going to listen to you before they're going to listen to me. And that's not going to help them with the progression.
Yeah.
And if it continues to happen, then I'm going to, hey, maybe you are great. Maybe you know what you're talking about. Come show me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they will 100% get a personal invitation to come try a class.
I've never had one of those dads.
I haven't either.
The dads that have the best kids are the ones that don't coach their kids.
So-
Like, even we've got purple belts, brown belts,
Yeah.
black belts whose kids are on our program, and
Yes.
they don't.
We have a family, and the dad is he's an ex-professional athlete,
Okay.
and he has 2 boys
Okay.
that are in our Little Ninjas class.
Okay.
And he is the coolest dad, right? Like, he's so nice. Hey guys, how you doing? Oh, the kids are doing this, here's that. The second like class starts, he just sits back, puts his hands in his lap, and he doesn't. Good job. That's it. That's probably the most I've ever heard him say.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he gives us the space to coach his kids, and
Yeah.
he did something at the highest level, right?
Yeah.
He got a paid professional athlete, and he understands that in order for his kids to get it, they need to listen to a coach.
They need to listen to coach.
And he totally backs off. And
Yeah.
like, after class, hey, they were asking about this or that. Like, afterwards, he'll inquire, but he has never once tried to step on our toes and like coach or anything like that. And I think that, like, that's cool to see. Even for myself, like, if I take Kai somewhere, like, I just sit back because I'm like, I am not a subject matter expert. This is not my place. I just want to be here to support my kid and let them know
Yes.
that dad's there. This is not somewhere where I need to voice my opinion about something I don't know about.
I heard we had a football coach came in and he coached high school football for 40 something years. And we were talking about the parent kid relationship. And he was like, one of the worst things you can do as a parent is go talk to your kid's coach about what your kid needs to work on. And that might seem counterintuitive because you do want to support your kids and what they need to work on. But he was like, no. You want to empower your kid to go have the conversation with their coach. If the kid, like, you're teaching that kid how to deal with an authority figure, and if your kid can learn to walk up to his coach after practice and go, "Hey coach, thanks for practice today. Did you see anything I needed to work on?" And the coach goes, "Yeah, actually, if you do this, this, and that." Okay. And then, like, if they can learn that skill of asking for feedback and getting feedback, you're really setting that kid up powerfully in life,
100%.
versus like being that helicopter parent and coming in and trying to control the situation for your kid.
I would 100% agree, right? Because that's a big part, I feel personally, of what's missing with this generation is the ability to conversate, right? Like, why did this happen, right? Like, what am I trying to do? Why am I doing this? Like, a lot of the kids, they either like, I don't want to do it. And then you're like, well, why? And they just like shut down, right? So there's no like critical thinking, right? That goes, or that's being pushed, I feel like, for our kids. So I would agree, like, empowering your kid to be able to ask questions and have a space safe enough for them to ask questions where they don't feel like they're getting, like, crapped on or anything, or getting made fun of. Like, I feel like it's a big missing in society that we're trying to make sure it continues on with the kids that are in our program.
So PSA for the parents: take your kids to the practice, whatever it is, baseball, soccer, jiu-jitsu, whatever. Tell them good job, high five, acknowledge them for something good. I mean, praise, we could talk about correct praise in a second. But and then don't coach them, and empower them to go talk to their coach about what they need to work on.
Maybe even ask your kid, like, hey, like, I saw you doing really good. What are you working on? Right? And the kids were like, well, I don't know. I'm like, oh, hey, have you talked to your coach about what you should work on? Well, no. I was like, oh, we'll try that. Like, just, give the kid the idea that it's okay to go ask coach what they should be working on, or what they did well, or what, you know what I'm saying?
I think that's a great skill set, because that's going to transfer over to their classroom and the school and their first job and the relationships and everything else. And then any other tips for parents, like, on how to parent a kid? I having coached my kids in soccer and baseball and a little bit of jiu-jitsu, just as in general, like, don't coach your own kid, even on a sports team. Like, if there's 3 other coaches, just go to, like, the deal I do with all the dads when we coach softball or whatever is like, hey, you coach my kid, I'll coach your kid. Great. Yeah. Those kids, they have a hard time distinguishing dad from coach.
100%.
And so it's easier just to be dad and let somebody else coach them,
Yeah. With our 3 older kids, I think it was a little bit, or maybe with the boys, like Christian and Baby J, like, it was a little bit easier for them to know when we're on the mat that I was coaching them, and then when we're at home, like, I wasn't coach, right? Like, and I was, like, learning my role with them, just because I came into their life a little bit more towards, like, their teenage years, right? With Tori and with Kai, right, 7 going on 8, right? Kai's our youngest. It was a little tougher, just because, like, I'd see them doing things and I'd coach them, and all they heard was dad yelling at them. Right. And so I had to really take a hands-off approach after Tori, because Tori was our only one who, really, quote unquote, quit, for a little bit. And it was just, we let her, and that was probably, one of the worst things, just let your kid quit because they didn't want it. It got hard, right? It's exactly what we're talking about. But it was a lot. It was a lot because of me and my coaching, right? Like, it was tough, right? Tough on all my kids. My kids get even worse than the regular students, right? Because I'm me, and I'm never wanting to show favoritism. So, like, I treat my kids a little bit tougher than I do the other kids. I hold them to a different standard. Yeah. And that was tough. And so when she quit, it really became apparent with Kai that I could not coach him, right? Because he would do the same thing. So for the first, I don't know, 6 years, like, Brittany coached him, Julian at the time coached him, and it was like I'd go to them and ask, like, hey, how's he doing? Like, I was literally like dad, right? With them, like, how's he doing? Is there anything you need to work on, or, is there anything I need to talk to him about? Or they would come tell me, like, hey, he did really good, or hey, he was goofing off today, so we could have those kind of conversations at home. It wasn't until Kai got into the adult class where I had to sit him down and be like, hey, when dad's on the mat, dad is not dad, dad is coach, And when dad tells you to do something on the mat, I'm coaching you, not yelling at you. I'm not telling you you're not good or you're doing bad. I'm like, I'm trying to make sure that you understand what you're doing is correct. And I was like, when we leave, dad is dad. Like, you can tell dad whatever you need to about class whenever we leave, because dad is dad. And so that's probably been like the hardest thing as a coach and a dad, is like trying to find this way of coaching my kid where he understands that I'm not mad at him when he misses a move, or, you know, like when I'm telling him how to fix something, like I don't want him to hear like dad's getting mad at me. I want him to understand that that coach is telling him how to fix a move to make it better.
Yeah.
Right. So it's tough, man. That's a tough part. So,
Okay. So just to recreate everything that we've been talking about here. So the longer the kid trains, the better they get, period.
yeah.
And if a kid trains 3 or 4 years, they get to that, you know, yellow belt, they learn how to scrap pretty well. They've got some good life skills, some good character developed from the jiu-jitsu. And then if you've seen a kid that whatever, starts playing a different sport, and then they come back and start training again 10 years later when they're in their adult years, like you said, it's perishable, but they've still got a really good base. And in my opinion, that kid, if they get in a fight 20 years later on the street, they're still going to do well.
Yeah. They're still going to have the skills to be able to do it. It's just, and you know, they're good. Most likely they have to defend themselves that far down the line. They're still going against someone who most likely doesn't train.
Right.
Right. So like the skills.
It's rare that like jiu-jitsu black belts are running around and getting in street fights.
Yeah. Very rare.
Yeah.
So like the person, the student that was training has the skill. They have the know-how how to defend themselves against someone who is untrained.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you know, the only reason that I say it's a perishable skill is if you're training, right? If you're training, if
your knife
me
gets
and
a little
you are
dull.
training, right?
Yeah.
And I have to take a month off from an injury or something like that, and I come back and train with you, you're going to wipe the mats with me just because you've been training, your timing is there.
I'm in the
My
groove.
timing, you know, is not there. But if it's I take a month off and I go, you know, to Westheimer and I roll with a bunch of white belts, I'm still
You're still
most
gonna smoke
likely
them.
going to
Yeah.
beat them because I've been training for so long.
Yeah. So, okay. So, and that life skill for me, it's like swimming or riding a bike. Like you're going to know how to do it 10, 20 years later if you need it. That's what I tell. And that's my deal with my kids. It's like, hey, you got to train at least 3 years. Or I don't care if it's 2 months this summer, 2 months next summer.
Yeah.
All year next year. But before you leave the house, like you need to know how to run fast. You need to know how to kick a ball. You need to know how to throw a ball. You need to know how to catch a ball. You need to know how to scrap a little bit. Like as a dad, like these are the things that I think are important for you.
Yeah. Mine is like blue belt, right?
Blue belt, yeah.
I mean, luckily Tori came back and started training again, and she got her blue belt, and then she took more time off, and now she's actually gotten back to it again, which is kind of weird. Like I rolled with her like a month ago, and like I was messing around, and all of a sudden she mounted me, and I was like, how did she do that? You know, like it's cool to be able to train with my kids as adults. But like, I feel like blue belt, if my kid gets to a blue belt, I know I'm 100% confident that they could handle themselves in almost every situation that's thrown at them.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. All right, back to the tournament combo.
All right.
What about kids doing tournaments?
So tournaments I think are great, right? Like I've competed a ton, a bunch of our kids and adults have competed a ton. I think it's a great tool, and that's what I think it is it's a tool. So if a parent is asking, you know, about their kid competing, I would ask them, is there something that they're looking for their kid to compete for?
Well, we just don't know. I mean, what's the next step?
Yeah. So, I mean, tournaments are great in the sense of like, it's just all about data acquisition, right? Like there's going to be a winner, there's going to be a loser, right? If you're winning, then whatever game plan that you've made for that tournament is a good game plan.
Okay.
Right. Doesn't mean it's going to work every tournament, but for that tournament, whatever coaching the kid got, whatever privates they did, whatever strategy you guys came up with, the kid did great in implementing that, right? Kid goes in and loses. That's, you know, it's great too for us as coaches. You know, of course it sucks losing. Kid doesn't want to lose, but like the conversation shouldn't be about how the other kid did better or worse or blah, 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 blah. It should be about, okay, well, what did we what did we try to do that didn't work? Okay, why didn't it work? Okay, let's go to work on like how do we fix that to make it better. So that's why I say like tournaments are great as a tool. And if a parent is asking, I'm going to make sure that the parent isn't just wanting to throw their kid out there.
Coach Robert, I just signed my kid up for the tournament this week, and he's been training 3 months.
Good luck. We'll be there. If it's a team tournament, we'll 100% will be in your kid's corner. Do you know what they're working on?
No, we just signed him up.
Okay, why'd you sign him up?
Because it's a tournament, right? I mean, like in baseball, there's games. Jiu-jitsu, there's tournaments, right?
Yeah. So are you ready? Are you ready as a parent to deal with them? What happens if they lose and they don't want to continue training?
You think he's going to lose?
Could. I mean, there's 50% win, 50% lose.
I mean, and the reality is, if the kid's been training for 3 months, they're not probably ready to go out there.
Dude, they could. I trained 3 months and I won my first gold medal.
You did not.
I swear to God.
You did?
My first tournament.
in karate or jiu-jitsu?
Jiu-jitsu.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't very pretty, but I won.
And
but
I guess it depends on who you're going against too. If the other kid's been training 2 months, then you're pretty good.
Yeah. And so, but that's just it, right? Like if you've signed your kid up without at least talking to the coach first, that's a red flag for me as a parent, right? Like as a coach to a parent.
Yeah.
Because we want what's best for your kids just as much as you want what's best for your kids.
Yeah.
And as a subject matter expert in jiu-jitsu, you would think that you'd want to come talk to the coach before you go and make a decision like that.
Okay.
Right. So it would be, it would be tough. It would be tough for me to watch my student go out there with with me not knowing anything on how to help them. And then if they succeed, like I'm wiping my sweat off my forehead, probably dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
Right. But if they go out there and lose, which could,
it's going to happen. If there's 10 people in a division, 9 of them are going to lose at least 1 match.
Correct.
So the chances of your kid winning every match are slim.
Very slim to none.
Well, only one kid wins every match in each division.
At that tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like
they're going to lose. And how you deal with that loss is important.
Yes. Yeah. And kids don't understand. They don't, or they do. They do understand winning and losing, but they don't understand the importance of winning and losing, right? They understand the importance typically of winning because when they win, they get ice cream and they get praised and balloons and, grandma and grandpa get to see their gold medal and all that stuff, right? But like losing is just as important because we need those losses in order to build upon what we already have.
Yeah.
Right. But a kid doesn't understand that. They just know that they lost in front of their mom and dad.
And not only that, but they got choked.
Possibly.
They didn't just lose a baseball game with 10 other people on the team.
Correct.
They were in front of hundreds of people while people are screaming at the top of their lungs, go, 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 choke him, choke him, choke him.
Yeah.
And the kid gets choked or smoked or armbarred or really embarrassed, or the 8-year-old boy fights the 8-year-old girl and the 8-year-old girl just totally smokes him. And he's like, screw jiu-jitsu.
100%.
This is a terrible experience.
Yes. Yeah. That's what's probably changed the most of my coaching experience over the past decade was we don't push tournaments as hard as we used to. Right. Like, right. Baytown was a highly competitive school 10 years ago.
Sure.
Right. We also had a quarter of the students that we had now. Right. So like it was kind of one of those like, hey, you're going to compete. We're all doing this tournament. You should probably go do it. It's going to be fun because we're going to do it with a whole bunch of friends.
And then they do it, have a bad experience.
Have a bad experience and quit. And then all of a sudden our quarter of the people was an eighth of a person,
Right.
But I mean, I want people to compete if they want to.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's why we have the team tournaments, right? We do them once a quarter because I know that with everything I have going on, I can set aside a weekend of my time to make sure that I'm there supporting students if they want to compete at that time.
And just so folks know, what we're talking about, team tournaments means all the Elite MMA locations participate in one tournament per quarter.
Correct.
And we make sure we've got enough coaching staff there to coach all the kids or adults that want to go compete.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. And then if people want to do a random one, that's cool, but there might not be a coach there to coach them.
Correct. Yeah. And we say that too, right? Like that's a constant conversation inside the team tournament. It's like, hey, this is a team tournament. You know that as coach, I will be there. I was like, but that doesn't mean you can't do the tournament next weekend or the tournament, the following month after this tournament, right? compete as much as you want to compete, right? We have a lot of guys that compete. I have a blue belt, his name's Slim. He's counting his tournaments. He's coming up on, I think, on his 20th tournament, like in a month or
Good
two,
for Slim.
right? And he's been getting after it, and that is a metric for him, right? Versus like I got other people, they do a tournament here, a tournament there.
And the thing I like about him is his attitude. So he'll win one great, and he loses one great.
Yeah, his attitude never changes.
Yeah.
And he's probably like one of the prime people to look at as far as how he deals with winning and losing.
Yeah.
When he wins, he's Slim. When he loses, he's still Slim.
Yeah.
Right. Like he'll come back and he'll, if he loses, he'll say, "Hey, I need to work on this," or I got stopped here. What kind of coaching I get? Like, it's great. Right. Like that's Slim in that aspect is like, I don't want to blow him up because if he hears this,
He'll get a big head.
Oh man. Yeah.
He's already got a big head.
Yeah. But like he's like a really great student in that aspect that he will come and ask for coaching if he runs into a problem.
Yeah. He's done that with me too. Yeah.
So,
okay. So if my goal for my kid is I want them to have this life skill of being able to defend themselves, and I want them to have some character development, and I want them to be able to go talk to their coach and their authority figure or their boss or their teacher or whoever, and learn to communicate and learn to have some leadership skills with people that are my peers, but maybe a little bit younger than me or newer to me. And I'm okay dealing with a loss. Like, great, go do a tournament and look at it as a building block.
It's always, that's it.
But if I, as a student or me as a parent, am gonna like have a meltdown if I lose, if I'm not good at losing, don't go do a jiu-jitsu tournament because you're risking the possibility of your kid quitting and not doing jiu-jitsu. And if a kid trains for 3, 4, or 5 years every day and never does a tournament, like they're still gonna get those skills that they came for.
Yes.
And and if they go to a tournament and have a terrible experience and then quit, they just blew the whole thing.
That's the same thing, right? We talked about earlier. It's like building the confidence of the kid. If I get a kid with 3 months and I break his confidence, like I have to take the time to build that back up again. But I can do that inside of a controlled environment in the mat space. I can't do that in a not controlled environment of a tournament where I can't control who he goes against and all that stuff, right? So you're basically throwing your kid's confidence
to chance
it up on a roulette wheel, right? Like when you take them to a tournament, because if they're not prepared and you're not prepared how to deal with your kid losing and how to, make sure that they understand that this is a part of life and, this is something that sucks now, but will be better in the long run. And you want them to do jiu-jitsu, you're 100% throwing up the chance of whether they're going to continue after that weekend, which sucks.
Real talk.
It sucks. Like I hate losing kids to tournaments because they think that, they have to compete.
Go do it.
They don't.
Yeah.
Like they don't. I would like for everybody to compete. I think it's important that people deal with those nerves and anxiety and all that stuff that comes with competing, but that's not necessary for the growth of their jiu-jitsu. They will get that inside the training room.
Yeah, when you talk about building that confidence, it's too big of a leap sometimes.
Correct.
You're just leaving it up, like you said, to chance.
Yeah,
because you're right. I mean, I have seen some kids 3 months, 6 months of training that are just like these optimistic, happy-go-lucky kids who go in there and get beat and they don't care. They had fun. It was cool. Maybe they got third place and they got some bling out of the deal. They're just whatever about it.
Yes.
And you got another kid that, barely loses and then it's just like
lost by an advantage
and they're just out there balling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, it is important to learn to work through that stuff, but you don't have to do that on month 3. You can do it on year 3.
Correct.
Once you've already gotten, the ability to defend themselves amongst their peers out of the way, then you can kind of work your way up the pyramid of working through those mental that mental development of the anxiety and everything.
I think the biggest thing inside of the competitive aspect is the communication with the coach, right? Like we are subject matter experts when it comes to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Right. Specifically, you, me, all the other coaches that are on staff most likely have competed quite a bit. So like we understand how competitions work. what time to show up, like how weights work, like how ranks work, like ask us. Like we are here.
Which division to sign the kid up for?
Yeah, like we are here as a service to you guys to make sure you guys have the best customer experience when it comes to doing something that we are not connected with. We are not connected with any tournaments.
Yeah.
Right. The last tournament we ran was the 2025, right? It was over at Baytown. It was the last last in-house tournament we've done event-wise.
2025. What do you mean?
Oh, I'm sorry, 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did something right before COVID.
Yeah.
Okay.
Literally
yeah.
the month before COVID.
Yeah, we don't host tournaments, is what you're saying.
And even that event, like there was a lot
of anxiety,
a lot of stuff in that event, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so that was something we even were able to control a little bit, but it was still like the outcomes that came out of it, like
it's chaos.
It's chaos, right?
Yeah.
So like talking to the coach to make sure we're setting the kid up to have the best experience and have the parent even have the best experience. Like, hey, this is what you can expect. This is what could happen if they lose. This is what could happen if they win. Like, this is what the results are going to happen if it's only 2 kids or if you got 10 kids, right? Like,
because sometimes there are crazy parents on the other side screaming at their kids. I've seen 100%. Some of the worst. I mean, just parents and coaches just absolutely deflating their kids. I'm like, I mean, I'm not going to go say anything, but it's just like the worst.
I've said stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Just because I'm just like, what are you doing? Right? Like
you're yelling at this kid.
You're yelling at a 7-year-old that he didn't try hard enough. Like he was out there like fighting tooth and nail against another 7-year-old and he didn't try. Like,
yeah, get your butt out there.
That goes back to the sideline coaching, right? Like you go out there and try to do it. It is not easy.
Yeah,
it's not easy being in front of everybody. Again, right? Team sport versus individual sport. You're out there by yourself.
Yeah, most people don't like bowling in front of other people
or talking in front of other people.
Right, and you're out there fighting, getting choked in front of other people.
Yeah, you're doing an event that is as close to a sanctioned fight as possible.
Right. At 7.
And you're mad at your kid for not
doing
it right.
Yeah.
Right. Like I've said stuff just because I'm just like, and it again, probably wasn't my place to say, but I'm just like, don't yell. Like I've just said that. I'm like, there's no need to yell. I'm like, do you want to, we can go over here and do it. Like I've zero qualms about telling someone if they want to show me how it's done.
Yeah.
Right. Just because I'm just like, stop. This is not the environment that we should be having at a kid's event.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's not like
people do get crazy. The other coaches can get crazy. So would you advise if someone was interested in maybe doing a tournament just to go watch one first?
Yeah, 100%. And that's usually my first question because I typically know who's competed, who hasn't competed. But every once in a while, I'll get a kid that they compete quite a bit or they do tournaments. You know, their mom is like, yeah, we're going to go do this tournament. So it's like, you know, have they competed before? No, they haven't. Have they done any kind of baseball, football, extracurricular, like game stuff? No. Okay. I was like, okay, why don't we check this one out? I want you to see. It's going to be chaos. And they're like, oh, really? And then not going to be like class. And I'm like, it's going to be nothing like class.
Yes.
Like it's going to be yelling. It's going to be crazy. People are going to be running. I'm going to be running. Like, I want you to see what we're going to be doing.
It's like 10 UFC fights going on at the same time.
Yeah. And then as a coach, you're running from mat to mat
to coach your kids.
And that's, you know, it's not a bad, but at the same time, in the past, and that's why we do the team tournaments, right? Is because I want to make sure that we have, like you said, enough coaches available to coach all the kids. It's happened in the past where I've missed a kid, and that's taken them out.
Yeah,
right? Like they didn't feel like coach cared about them, and that's the farthest thing from the truth. I'm literally running around like a pinball.
Yeah,
right. And I didn't match up my time or have enough get enough. Help to be able to make sure everybody's covered.
Yeah.
Right. So we've learned over the years that having a team tournament and having the coaching staff available to be there and making sure that we have layers of coaches to make sure we know, you know, there's a lot that goes on in the background of, you know, a team tournament to make sure that the coaching staff we have enough there to be able to support the students that are out there, because we want them to understand that we are a united front. We are a team. One team, doesn't matter if it's 6 locations. One team, if I'm coaching a Memorial student, I know Christian's going to be coaching a Baytown student. I know Austin is going to coach Greenway. Like all the coaches know each other, and we all know that any coach that's there is going to give the proper support to that elite student to make sure that they have the time.
Yeah, we
the
all
best
follow
time
the
that they
same
can.
curriculum, the same coaching, everything. Yeah. Okay, so tournaments are great if you're ready for them.
Yeah. And ask the coach if you think your kid is ready for them.
Yeah. And if you never do a tournament, that's great too.
Yeah.
I know a lot of adult black belts that have been doing jiu-jitsu for 20 years that have never competed. They can scrap. They're great guys. They've got great community. Their health is great. Their wellness is great. Their family, their friends, everything is dynamite. And they've been doing jiu-jitsu forever and never done a tournament.
Yep.
And they love it.
Yep.
And they're badasses.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
I have kids like that. Not just adults. I have kids that they've been training forever. They don't compete, and they're helpful. They're respectful. They have a good time when they come in class. They're great.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do tournaments to be great at jiu-jitsu.
All right. Circling back to rank real quick before we wrap this up. Any more clarity around rank that you think we should provide, or tips for folks? And, what are you looking for when you're moving kids up in rank?
So jiu-jitsu is one of the most unique sports in the sense of there's no certain set qualifications of what it's going to take to come up in a rank.
Okay.
Right. Like karate, I use karate as a good like comparison tool, because in karate or any striking traditional martial arts, usually you're given like a set of skills that like, hey, we're looking for this set of skills, these number of blocks, these number of kicks, these number of punches, number of forms, in order for you to be eligible to rank up.
So for example, yellow belt in karate is what? Do you remember?
Yellow belt was high, middle, low, block, high, middle, low punch, front kick, back kick, side kick, roundhouse kick, and like 1 or 2 like I form, or something along those lines.
Okay, and yellow belt for jiu-jitsu is what techniques? There aren't any.
There's no set
It's
technique.
not the same thing.
It is not.
It's subjective versus objective.
Correct. Yeah. And so some of the things that we are trying to implement inside of the kids, the kids program, is just some basic requirements, right? Some requirements around attendance, some requirements around a number of techniques, right? Not necessarily a technique, because that goes back to, kids, nobody's game is the same.
Yeah.
Right. But maybe a number of techniques.
Can you show me two ways to pass the guard?
Right. Can you show, what's your favorite takedown? What's your favorite way to pass the guard? What's your favorite submission?
Yeah.
Right.
And can you do that on someone standing still? And can you do that on someone going after you?
Right. You know? So the application versus like the sparring. Right.
Yeah.
So just stuff like that. I feel that we're trying to get implemented. It's a little bit outside of the norm of jiu-jitsu. Right. Most jiu-jitsu places are. Sorry.
Is that you blowing up?
Oh, it's 5 minutes before our meeting.
All right.
We're trying to implement a way for our kids to see growth and see their progression without it turning into something where they're just showing up just to get a rank. Right. Now, that does play into what we just said. If they show up with a great attitude and they give great effort, like they're going to get good at jiu-jitsu, therefore they will progress in rank.
Yeah.
Right. So right now, the way that we're getting it set up is we want the kids to be able to see progression and see rank every 2 months.
Every couple of months.
Every couple of months, have a promotion where they're getting a stripe or they're getting a new belt, depending on like where they're at inside of their progression. But that's typically what we're going to see. It's just stripe, belt, stripe, belt, so that because of the ranks that we have inside of our program, that's typically the process that a parent from the outside that doesn't know really what's going on, they don't have experience in jiu-jitsu. If they see their kids show up and they're getting a stripe and a belt like every couple of months, that typically means your kid is moving in the right direction of progression, of being able to know how to do what they need to do in jiu-jitsu.
So what you're saying is, hey, trust us. Keep bringing your kid to class. They're going to go through this curriculum. They're going to get better at it every year, and it's going to take 3, 4, 5 years for them to be super efficient at it. And it's pretty much show up with a good attitude and
Try hard.
And they're not like it's 100% going to work.
Yeah.
If the kid shows up for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, puts forth good effort, has a good attitude, they're 100% going to be able to defend themselves.
Yes.
Like jiu-jitsu doesn't not work.
Jiu-jitsu is the most realist sport when it comes to combat sports.
Yeah. It works.
It works. It works. And it's something that can be done every day compared to striking, like a boxing, a kickboxing, a karate. Right? You can't spar every day in those striking martial arts. I mean, it's just the amount of
Head trauma that occurs. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But jiu-jitsu, right? You can roll hard. I mean,
You can train hard every day.
I train hard every day, and
Yep.
I've been doing it for almost 20 years. And, you know, most of the things, the accidents that have happened have not happened on the mat, usually happen off the mat that have kept me off. But like, I've been able to train pretty consistently hard for a good number of years, and
it works.
And it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else before we wrap this up?
No, just, you know, to any of the parents out there that, you know, if they listen to this and they think, you know, they have questions, just get with the coach, right? Like I said, we are here.
Get the kids to get with the coach.
Well, yes, but I mean, there are, you know,
There are some parent appropriate questions.
yeah,
Sure.
in any parent that has a question, just like a student, right? Like, we are here for everyone, right? Like, if you have a question, ask, right? Like, get with the coach, ask the question. You know, like, we want this to be a clear and a very transparent relationship, right? Like, if you have a question, we're not gatekeeping any information, right?
Yeah.
Like, we want you to understand why our thought process and why we're doing what we're doing, because a lot of times, if you just come in and just let us do our thing, like, your kid's going to get good. But if you have questions and you don't ask, like, you're not going to get any answers.
Yeah.
Right. That goes for the kid too. That's the same thing, right? Closed mouths don't get fed. So if you got a question, make sure you're asking.
And you're teaching and training at Elite MMA Baytown all day, every day.
Every day. Yep. Monday through Friday.
love
Kids' classes are 5 o'clock for the little ninjas, 5:30 for the big guys, for the big kids.
Yeah.
Kickboxing, adult jiu-jitsu.
Hey, and another good point, a segue before someone jumping into a tournament, they could just go to another one of our Elite MMA locations, cross-train with a different group of kids. It's a little bit more anxiety. They have to introduce themselves. They're maybe unfamiliar. That's a great thing to do before maybe even going to a belt graduation. I know we've got a couple of big events a year, and then you know, just sort of baby step their kid into a new environment.
Yeah. It's going to be a new environment, but a similar environment, right?
Yeah.
Compared to a tournament.
Right.
Right. Like, there is all those things of going into a new place, but like getting on the mat and seeing everybody look similar to the class that they came from.
Yep.
Most likely doing the same thing that they're doing, right? And everything's in line. It's just different people that they can start again getting those small wins, building the confidence, and if it's something that they want to do as far as competing and stuff like that, that's a great way of like baby stepping into how to get ready for a tournament or how to get used to some environment that's got a little bit of anxiety around it or a little bit of, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, that would be probably great for the kid.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Rob. Well, thanks for being here, having this convo.
pleasure, man.
We'll
My
have to get
pleasure.
you back in here. And thanks, everybody.
Yep.
That's a wrap.